ओम श्री गणेशाय नमः। ओम श्री सरस्वत्यै नमः। ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। ओम सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ओम श्री सद्गुरुभ्यो नमः। ओम ध्यायामि चिन्मयानन्दं गुरुदेवं महामतिं प्रेमपूर्णं क्रियाशीलं सदा लोकहिते रतं कृपालुं सुन्दराकारं समर्थं सत्यदर्शिनं वाचा तत्त्वप्रकाशिन्या शोकमोहविनाशिनम्। ओम श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरवे नमः। ओम नमो नारायणाय। 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 ओम ऋतगं सत्यं परं ब्रह्म पुरुषं कृष्णपिङ्गलम् ऊर्ध्वरेतं विरूपाक्षं विश्वरूपाय वै नमो नमः। ओम नारायणाय विद्महे वासुदेवाय धीमहि तन्नो विष्णुः प्रचोदयात्। हरि ओम, सुप्रभातम्। ओम शुक्लांबरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। ओम शान्ताकारं भुजगशयनं पद्मनाभं सुरेशं विश्वाधारं गगनसदृशं मेघवर्णं शुभांगं लक्ष्मीकान्तं कमलनयनं योगिहृद्ध्यानगम्यं वन्दे विष्णुं भवभयहरं सर्वलोकैकनाथम्। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। We will chant from the 12th shloka. Om वसुर्वसुमना सत्यः समात्मा सम्मितः समः अमोघः पुण्डरीकाक्षो वृषकर्मा वृषाकृतिः रुद्रो बहुशिरा बभ्रुर्विश्वयोनिः शुचिश्रवाः अमृत शाश्वत स्थाणुर्वरारोह महातपाः सर्वगः सर्वविद्भानुर्विश्वक्सेनो जनार्दनः वेदो वेदविदव्यङ्गो वेदाङ्गो वेदवित्कविः लोकाध्यक्षः सुराध्यक्षो धर्माध्यक्षः कृताकृतः चतुरात्मा चतुर्व्यूहश्चतुर्दंष्ट्रश्चतुर्भुजः. Yesterday we completed the 14th shloka. Now we take up the next shloka, 15th. Lokadhyakshaha. This we will chant again. We have chanted only once. Lokadhyakshah suradhyaksho dharmadhyakshah kritakritah chaturatma chaturvyuhaschaturdamshtraschaturбhujah. We have 8 names in this shloka. The first one is Lokadhyakshaha. Adhyakshaha means the one who presides, president. This is a very common word used in our Laukika Bhasha. In every transactional purposes, every office or every institution like ours, probably sadhana mandir or trusts, we have this called president, and every nation also has a president. So adhyakshaha means president. Loka adhyakshaha, lokan adhyakshayati iti lokadhyakshaha. The one who presides the worlds. Worlds, when we say, it is not just earth, as always we understand, all the worlds. In fact, one very good reference for this would be our Vamana Avatara. Vamana was given 3 boons, out of which with 1 feet he covered all the lokas. And with other feet, he was keeping it in the air, where to keep. And then Bali Chakravarti gave him his head. Then he had to put there. That means he has covered everything. And who is Vamana? Bhagavan Sri Vishnu. So, Lokan Adhyaksha. This is one reference. The other reference is the one who commands, who rules, who makes everything happen, who gets everything done, is the person who is the topmost. Now we may note here, the president doesn't go and do everything, but he gets it done through his subordinates. Now we have so many devatas, each one of them having a portfolio and taking care of one aspect in the creation. And all the devatas, they report to the next higher up, and then we have the Triputi, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, and then we have the highest. So the highest Parabrahma Paramatma, here Ishvaraha, takes care of the creation, both in terms of creation, sustenance and dissolution, with the commanders Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. It is Ishvara Tattva which takes care. Therefore, this Tattva is called Loka Adhyakshaha. Sarvesham Lokanam. It is not only the earth, as I said, all the 14 lokas. Pradhanyena upadrashta. He becomes the witness of all the lokas, that which is functioning. Then one may question, if Bhagavan is the witness, and if it is these 3 Triputis, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, who are devatas, who are taking care of the world, why is there so much of chaos and confusion? Are they similar to our irresponsible politicians? Are they similar to these politicians who don't take care and who are taking care of themselves only? No. The chaos is also part of the right administration, in a manner of saying. How? The administration need to have a proper balance. The balance is set born out of our own karma. In fact, the lords are not really responsible. It is our own karma which brings imbalance in the society. It is our own karma which brings imbalance in the whole universe. Therefore, all the natural calamities are those which brings in balance, probably in the name of calamity. You and I will look only at the calamity aspect of it. From the higher standpoint, it is also a setting right. You know, in our computer language we say refresh. In refresh, everything sets in its place. Similarly, certain calamities are required, again remember, born out of our own irresponsible karma. However, even that is in order because of the adhyakshata of Bhagavan. That is also very much in order. You may call it volcanoes, you may call it tsunami, you can call it drought, you can call it earthquake. Whatever you may call, they are also part of the scheme of what? Setting right and bringing a balance. Alright. Sarvesham lokanam pradhanyena upadrashta. He witnesses carefully. He supervises the performance. Then comes Suradhyakshaha. What is Suradhyakshaha? Lokapaladi Suranam. Look at that beautiful word. The Sura, the gods, who are the protectors of all the loka, who are the caretakers of all the loka. Loka paladi suranam adhyakshaha. He is also the president of all the gods. Alright. That is very much understandable. It is very much in the scheme of things. In any organization also, each department is taken care by one particular official, and there is always a higher up who commands all these officials to take care in a particular way. Similarly, Lokapaladi Suranam Adhyakshaha Lokadhyakshaha. Then comes Dharmadhyakshaha. This is where there is a lot of thinking required. He is the Adhyaksha of Dharma. Now see. Dharma adharmau sakshat ikshate. Ikshate meaning the one who visualizes, the one who sees, the one who witnesses what? Both dharma and adharma. Sakshat ikshate meaning he himself takes note of. He himself watches, he himself witnesses. Now many people say, Bhagavan doesn't look at me at all. It is wrong. Sakshat ikshate dharma adharmau. All the actions performed by all of us, including the celestial beings, he looks at it directly. Anurupam phalam datum. And based on his own vision. Now here, vision is never contaminated. Bhagavan's vision is never contaminated by Ragadvesha, whereas our visions are contaminated by our own Ragadvesha. Think. Whenever we look at a person, we look at that person with the kind of attitude I have developed on that person. If a person I like, then the attitude with which I look at that person is different. If I don't like a person, the attitude with which I look at that person is completely different. And very interestingly, the way I look at that person, that very vision brings in so many thoughts in my mind, good, bad, indifferent, based on the value I have labeled, please remember, I have labeled on that person. My mind moves up and down based on the value I have set on that person. Our vision is always colored by our own desires, our own judgment, think, our own demands, our own experiences with that person, transaction with that person. And if the transaction, if the communication, if that relationship with that person is good, then the thoughts I entertain regarding that person is also very good. Similarly, if that is not good, then the thoughts I entertain is also wrong. This is with reference to just a person or a thing or a situation or an institution, anything for that matter. You can associate this with anything and everything. It can be a government. Think. Each one have got their own way of visualizing a particular government. Therefore, you give lot of comments on that government. Good, bad, indifferent again. All these are because of our vision colored by our own non-understanding, wrong judgment, etc. We see the world. But Bhagavan's vision is not so. Bhagavan's vision is impartial. Bhagavan's vision is impartial, at the same time clean. What do you mean by clean? Uncontaminated by anything for that matter. Therefore, his blessings are also of similar kind. Now, his blessings we deserve, and what we deserve is what we get. Now, look at that. Dharma adharmau sakshat ikshate. He himself directly witnesses anurupam phalam datum. Anurupam phalam meaning what? Based on my actions, dharmic or adharmic actions, I will get result accordingly. Anurupam phalam. Very many of us have got wrong understanding of this very important aspect. We always think Bhagavan is partial. We always think Bhagavan is not understanding me. We always think Bhagavan has never seen me properly. He is always seeing my neighbor. All these sort of sentimentalism is attached in our vision. Whereas Bhagavan's vision is not attached with sentimentalism, but Bhagavan looks at with love. And remember, he looks at us with love in spite of what we are. In one step ahead, in spite of what all wrong doings we have done, still Bhagavan is protecting us because of his love towards us. Think. Therefore, ikshyate and phalam datum tasmat dharmadhyakshaha. Then the next point here. Why should Bhagavan interfere? Bhagavan has to interfere because if Bhagavan's judgment based on our own dharma and adharma actions are not there, then there is nobody to control the jiva. Whenever we have performed adharmic actions, we have to face the karma phala. And through that karma phala alone, one can turn the attention from adharmic way of functioning to dharmic way. Because of what? Because of the karma phala decided by Bhagavan. Very many times karma phala can be harsh. Karma phala can be rude. Like how a mother beats the child. Sometimes even with a stick probably a father can beat. But for what? For the sake of setting right the child's thinking. Similarly, Bhagavan gives as though he gives conditions which are not very conducive, conditions which bring suffering and pain. It is only for us to rectify our errors, rectify our way of thinking, rectify our attitudes, rectify our behavior and conduct, rectify our relationships, and change from the adharmic, pleasure-oriented, preyas-directed thinking to dharmic and shreyas-oriented thinking. It is for that sake Bhagavan looks directly at each and every one of us, and based on our activities, he decides the karma phala. Anurupam phalam datum tasmat dharmadhyakshaha. And therefore, he also presides. Now please see, lokadhyakshaha, suradhyakshaha, dharmadhyakshaha. And he is also the adhyaksha for everything that we have been seeing again and again, isn't it? We see the shloka in the Bhagavad Gita, yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyuttanam adharmasya tadatmanam srujamyaham paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. By this, what has he established? He takes an avatar to come for the sake of establishing dharma. The one who establishes dharma is the adhyaksha of dharma. Therefore, he is called dharmadhyaksha. The next nama is kritakritaha. What does this mean? Kritascha karya rupena akritascha karana rupena iti kritakritaha. For all that which is done, which are the effects, and for those which are not yet done, which remains as the cause, for both he is the supreme. Therefore, for cause and effect, for both he is the supreme. For this whole universe which is the effect, and he being the cause, for both the manifested world and the unmanifested world, he is the Lord. Therefore, he is called Kritakritaha. Then comes Chaturatma, another very beautiful nama. Please note. Sargadishu prithak vibhutayaha chatasraha atmanaha murtayo yasya saha chaturatma. The one who is of fourfold in nature. And what are they? Waking, dream, deep sleep, and the enlivener of all the three Atman, who is for convenience called the fourth. Chaturtham manyante, it is said. Here Ishvara Tattva is indicated. And Turiya, we have seen this. Turiyam manyante, Chaturtham manyante. That state is Ishvaraha, who is the Lord of all the other three. Now see, this Chaturatma has got a little deeper meaning, we will see. These are the three states which we experience. This again we have seen it several times. Waker, dreamer and deep sleeper. The one who is the Adhyaksha of waking state is called as Vishwa at the individual level, Vyashti level, and Virat at the Samashti level. The same Purusha, please note, he is not different. He is the same. But when associated with the dream as a dreamer, he becomes Taijasa at the individual level and Hiranyagarbha at the total level. And third, as a deep sleeper, he is the Prajnaha at the individual level and Ishvaraha at the total level. I don't know how many of you have heard, we have discussed this elaborately in our Tattva Bodha classes. You may probably go back to Tattva Bodha where we have elaborately deal with that. Vishwa, Taijasa, Prajnaha at the individual level, waker, dreamer, deep sleeper, and at the total level, Virat, Hiranyagarbha, Ishvaraha. And all these three are governed by what? Atman. Therefore, that is the fourth part. Now look at this particular diagram which I have shown. Here we see four colors. Each one is a part. One part of the circle is Sthula Sharira. The second part is the Sukshma Sharira. The third part is the Karana Sharira. And with reference to this, there is this Jivatma. Now see, all the three appearing to be different and Atman appearing to be different is actually one single circle. Look at that. This whole piece is divided into four. Each piece belongs to the whole. Each piece appearing different but belongs to the whole. Now when we say 1/4 of the circle, without the circle, the 1/4 cannot be called as 1/4. Isn't it? This quarter is mentioned, labeled, named as a quarter with what? With reference to the whole only. Actually, it is only one. Similarly, Atma is only one, expressing through these four. What are the four? Sthula Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, Karana Sharira and the Jivatma. And the one who has Chaturatma, when you say the Supreme is only one, appearing as these four. Think Chaturatma. Then we have Chaturvyuha. What is Chaturvyuha? According to sage Vedavyasa, where he writes, Vyuhatmanam Chaturdhavai Vasudevadi Murtibhihi. Vyuhatmanam, for the sake of taking care, these four have been manifested. Vishnu, who is the great fame, who is the great Lord, he himself manifests in four forms. What are they? Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna and Aniruddha. These are the people who take care of, who carry on the creation, sustenance and resolution. These are all portfolios given. Therefore, Chaturvyuha are these people who take care of the world, meaning he himself in the form of these four takes care of the world. Therefore, Chaturvyuha. The next one is very interesting. Chaturdamshtraha. Damshtraha means teeth. The four, teeth projecting. This particular nama is specifically mentioned for Narasimha Avatara, where he tears apart the intestines and everything from Prahlada's father, Hiranyakashipu. At the entrance of the door, he removes everything, and you can see in all the pictures, Kalpana, the Chitra, you will find the intestines are hanging around in the teeth, meaning the four teeth grabs and pulls out. And those four teeth are called Chaturdamshtraha, and this again refers to the avatara of Narasimha, whichever we say. Chaturbhujaha. This is very, very interesting. Chaturbhujaha meaning what? 4 arms. Bhagavan has got 4 arms. This is a very interesting presentation by the rishis to the humanity. Human mind always wants some alambana for connecting itself. Without alambana, mind cannot connect itself. Mind is limited. And the mind has been taught, mind has been brought up with such limitations only. Fortunately or unfortunately, whatever the reason may be. The child is brought up with certain limitations. What are the limitations? They say, this is Ganapati, this is Ishvara. Ishvara means Shiva. This is Mahavishnu, this is Sri Ramachandra, this is Sri Krishna, this is Devi. And in Devi also we have so many varieties. We have Lalitambika, we have Bhagavati, we have Kali, we have Saraswati, we have Lakshmi, Durga, ityadi. All these forms are shown to the child to develop a devotion, a bhavana towards that particular deity, and the child initially doesn't understand but is attracted towards one particular deity. Then, once that deity is known, now the father and mother or the grandparent, they say the child is attracted towards Hanumanji, the child is attracted towards Sri Ramchandraji. Then what do they do? They give lot of stories, Pauranic stories. They tell lot of stories. Child is very interested. And every day the child has to be told one story. Today they tell all these funny stories and stupid stories. Which has no value at all. But those days, our Pauranic stories were told to the children, especially while going to the bed. And the mind, now look at that beautiful psychology. The mind is put to sleep with the thought of the Lord. In the form of what? Stories. And the same child, when it is woken up, those days, past tense, the child is woken up with the thought of the Lord. The house is beautifully kept like a temple. Early morning, the grandmother or even mothers also, few mothers, exception sustained, few mothers, very few in fact, get up early morning, take bath, light the lamp, light the agarbatti. The fragrance of the agarbatti fills the house with devotional mood. Think. Please note, I am not digressing from the topic. Let me be clear about it. The house is with so much beautiful fragrance. When the child wakes up, it wakes up with probably the chanting of Vishnu Sahasranama by a person or a machine. Think. Early morning. Those days are gone, unfortunately. And the mind of the child which went into sleep with Bhagavan's thought wakes up from sleep with Bhagavan's thought. And a mind thus which wakes up with the thought of Bhagavan and which also sleeps with the thought of Bhagavan will retain the thought of Bhagavan even during the day, even while it is performing its own actions. The attitude of devotion and surrender is brought up in the child right from the time the child has even not yet started thinking of its own. The pattern, the quality and the texture of thoughts in the child is brought up with goodness, with devotion, with Bhagavan. Think. Yad bhavam tad bhavati. So a child which is brought up with such good thoughts has no time to think wrongly. And even in case because of the wrong associations which we don't accept, though we will discuss about it at a different time. Even though, because parents always claim wrong associations. If associations can change the pattern of the child, if the child is very good, the child's good association must change the other wrong associations, isn't it? These are all, anyway, that is a different topic of a discussion. We will think about it later. When the child is brought up with such strong thoughts of values, think, that child will be so strong that it cannot be influenced by the evil thoughts, whereas the child can influence good thoughts on the people who have got evil thoughts. This is how the psychology has to grow. Today's parents say, oh, freedom of thinking. And in that freedom, the child doesn't want to get up that. The child doesn't like that. Child doesn't want to do this. He doesn't feel comfortable coming to the temple. Foolish parents, irresponsible parents, think. Our Shastra, our Sampradaya, our Puranas, our Itihasas, our Smriti Grantha, all of them is for what? Is to beautifully mold the psychology, the emotional pattern of the child so that the child develops love towards Bhagavan. It is for that reason the forms of deities are given with a purpose. I have always been telling, the form of Ganapati is a biological impossibility. Human body with an elephant head is a biological impossibility. But then we take that form, we show the child, this is Ganapati, you do prostration, you do namaskara. Child will do. Why? Because Appa said. Child has nothing to do with Ganapati or Rama or Shiva or Krishna. What the child do? Child just does what Appa, Rama, Rajaji do. When the mother does namaskara, child also will do. Child does not understand. Think. But the habit of performing namaskaram remains with the child for long. Later, when the child is able to think independently, the same child will ask questions. Why? Because of the inquisitive mind. And it is at that time the parents must again become responsible enough to make the child understand the very forms of our deities created by our Rishi culture for the sake of uplifting the mind from common whims and fancies to a devotional, divine experiences, divine thinking. It is unfortunate that the parents themselves don't know the significance of our deities. And they are so irresponsible to say, yeah, some rishi must have created, it is man-made God. God is different from all this. All those talkings are irresponsible. The parents, once they come to understand, we have so many books, symbolism in Hinduism, Hindu culture written by our Param Pujya Guruji Swami Tejomenon. All these books are all what? A beautiful explanation for what is the right understanding. In the Chenmaya mission, Swamini Vimalananji has given 2 beautiful books. It's a small book, pocket book, you can keep it in the pocket. In Indian culture, why do we? Why should I apply tilaka in my forehead? Why should I wear a bindi if you are a woman? Why do we ring the bell? Why should we do pradakshina? Why is parisheshanam done before eating? Why is sandhya vandanam? What is the importance of tulasi? All these are said. Why? Because we need to understand and we have to tell the children the significance of them. Thus, our culture is such that it will bring in divine thoughts in the mind, and where the mind is completely filled with good values, divine thoughts, and translated into virtues in the heart of the child, that child cannot go wrong. Even in case the child goes wrong, it is able to bounce back immediately because of the power of good values. Think. And it is for this purpose various deities are presented by the Rishi culture, and each deity has its own significance. You will always find deities with 4 hands. These 4 hands in each of the deity, you will definitely have one hand with one weapon. Think. See, in any deity photo picture, Kalpanika, Chitra, you see, one hand will have a weapon. One hand will be a Abhaya Hasta. And you will have other 2 according to the stories of that particular deity. What does that indicate? When the child, why always child, even elders? Now, how many elders, child, many children know because they go to Bal Vihars and Bala Vikas and Shishu Grihas, etc. They go and there they are taught. The children know better actually these days. The parents still don't know what is the significance of our gods. Unfortunate. Think. And when that thought comes, why is Rama having a bow and an arrow ready to fight? And then the parents keep telling, you should not fight with others. It appears contradicting. Think. Kali, 20 hands with so many types of weapons. Every hand has got a weapon. That means all our deities are ready only to fight. If deities themselves can fight, why can't I and my brother fight? Think. And the parents have no answers for such questions. We have to understand what is the glory, what is the significance, what is the symbolism in these 4 hands. Why does every deity have a weapon? And the deity also have an Abhaya Hasta. If this is properly, rightly understood, the real symbolism, then we will find every one of us also have 4 hands. All of us can be called as Chaturbhuja. Isn't it interesting? Wait till tomorrow. Om शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम। श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम।